loud notification, but
Okay.
yeah, I can hear you good. It sounds really, really
Okay.
good. But
Good.
yes, listen. So let me just start off by saying why this has been a very good day. I
Yes.
had my divorce hearing.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a good and bad situation, but we'll get into that,
Okay.
once we really get it. Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
first of
I've been
all,
there before.
yeah, we're going to get into all of that for sure. But I want to thank you for taking the time out to sit with me yet again. Yet
Oh, of
again. This is everything
course.
for me. And I'm not going to fan out as much as I did last time. This is what I'm not going to do. I'm going to actually have a conversation and I'm not going to fan out. But let me go ahead and get this episode officially started.
Let's get naked, like the disc do, like the disc do. Don't step off the floor, baby, me and you, baby, me and you. Let's get naked. Let's get naked.
Hey,
Yes.
family, and thank y'all for
Hi.
tuning in to another episode of Let's Get Naked with MzMo. Listen, y'all already see who's here, man. I have got the legend. She came back to me, y'all. She came back to me.
Listen, how could I not?
Listen, you don't understand. When I got the text message from you the other day, my heart jumped out of my chest. And I think I expressed that to you. I was just like, first of all, Pebbles is texting me. This is still crazy. I'm sorry, I got to fan out just a little bit. I can't talk to you and not fan out just for a second. I'm like, Pebbles is texting me. This is crazy. And it's like, I feel like we're soul sisters, like at this point. And
Yes.
it's just
Yes.
beautiful, and I have to bask in that moment. But for those who are
Yes.
living under a rock and don't know who I'm speaking to, I have Pebbles in the building with us. Say hi, Pebbles.
Hi. Oh, I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you for
Really.
coming back. I feel like everybody loved the first episode we did about, our experiences as women in
Hmm.
radio, but there was a lot of feedback like, nah, but we want to hear Pebbles' story. Like they were like, we don't really get to hear Pebbles speak much. So we really want to know about Pebbles, the person outside of the radio personality. And who better than me?
Yes, absolutely.
But I of course I respect you. So if there's anything that I ask where you're like, nah, you have no, there's you could tell me
Hmm.
at any time, and it's also a judgment-free zone. That's what Let's Get Naked is anyway.
Hey,
So
yep.
feel comfortable to be free. This is family here. So if it's okay, I want to ask
Absolutely.
one of the most burning questions I feel like I've always asked since I've heard your name, Pebbles. Is that your birth name? Like, is that the name your mama gave you?
No, no, it is not. But you want to hear something funny? One of
Uh-huh.
my best friends, her real name is Pebbles.
Because I do know another Pebbles too. And I mean, aside from the Pebbles
Yes.
that we hear in Hollywood, but I'm just like, I do know another Pebbles. So it's possible that her mama could have named her
Yep. Yeah,
that.
one of my friends I went to college with, her name is Pebbles. But no, my real name, it's so boring.
What do you mean? Let me hear it. Let me hear it.
Susan. I might as well be Karen. I
Oh,
mean,
I feel like
although I
Susan's
have a
not as
cousin
bad as
named
Karen.
Karen.
Oh, wow. I take that last part back. Take that last part back.
No, it's
So,
fine.
I'm not gonna call you Susan because that'd just be
That's
disrespectful.
fine.
But it's just
That's fine.
thank you for letting my audience know that. I appreciate it. Now, another burning question. I'm gonna get to these the basic questions, and I'm gonna let you get
Hmm.
into your story. Now, these basic questions, another burning one, right? I remember us talking about it briefly when you had touched on your experience at WILD, and some people were kind of like combating against you because they felt like you weren't quote unquote black enough, right?
Yes.
Right. So, would you be able to explain what your nationality is to the audience, please?
Yeah. So I am Cape Verdean and Serbian.
Ah,
My mother is okay. So my father is 100% Cape Verdean.
mm-hmm.
His parents are Cape Verdean.
Okay.
My mother is her father was Cape Verdean, my grandfather, and
Okay.
her mother was Serbian. Her mother was she grew up in Pennsylvania,
Okay.
and yeah, let me just, I guess I'll get to it too, because I'm like, my
Let's
mind is
go.
jumping all over the
Let's go.
place.
That's all right.
So it's funny because this is going to sound so crazy, but I did not realize that my grandmother was white. I just thought she was light skinned, like for so much of my life. Because my grandmother left her home in Pennsylvania when she was, I think, like 13,
Okay.
14. She was very young, and she left to marry my grandfather.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, she was her. I never met him. We never met him, but their family was very. Let's just say they had issues with my grandfather, so there was some race stuff going on. They were racist, and her mother had died when she was very young.
Wow.
So she had left, and she came, and she completely was enveloped in the Cape Verdean family that was here. So she spoke the language and everything. So in my head, she was just Cape Verdean. I just never thought of it like that. And she cooked the Cape Verdean foods. It was just crazy. But
okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of, my background. For anyone who's not familiar with the Cape Verde Islands are a group of islands off the west coast of Africa.
I feel like Bostonians, we know Cape Verde like crazy, but I feel like
they're
when
around,
exactly. But the moment you go down south, they're like, Cape Verde, what? What's that? And I'm like, no, that's normal up here. What do you mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so okay, we got it. I finally, I'm glad I got those two burning questions out there because I feel like that was the biggest thing. People were like, well, is Pebbles a real name? And is she black? What's her nationality? I'm like, let's get straight to those things and get those out the way.
Yeah. Now, and I'm still learning about Cape Verdean culture because,
I consider it black in my eyes. I don't know.
Oh, I do too.
Okay.
But I mean, as far as, I've never been there.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I joined a Facebook group that was about Cape Verdeans here or something. And there used to be all this going back and forth between people who came from the Cape Verde Islands and people who, were born here. It was just kind of crazy. I was like, just tell me how to make, how you make your manchoop. That's all I want. But
I'm just trying to eat the good food. That's it. That's it.
No, but I think that there are definitely conversations to be had, but I just wasn't ready for that. In the middle of a pancetta,
Not a pancetta. In the middle of a panorama, ain't nobody got time. But no, I feel like everybody in their own separate cultures kind of goes through that like individualizing and separation even within your own culture. And it's so disheartening because when it's all said and done, we are all the same. I could say, commercially, we're one race and it's human, but I'm not going to front Pebbles. That's not how I really feel. So I'm not going to say that. That's not how I really feel.
I'm with you. And you know what, too? I think, I get it when people talk about, I don't even know if we want to get into the whole colorism thing, but I get it. I get it because I know that my experience looking the way that I do is very different from, a black person who has darker skin.
Exactly.
And so I get it. So I never complained about, anyone feeling the way that they feel about that. So
it's weird. And I'll give an example. Like I'm not completely fair skinned. I'm kind of like toting that middle line. You know what I mean? In the summertime, I get a little melanated. Don't get twisted. I get a little melanated. But I had a group of friends where we literally covered the spectrum as far as our hues of brown. And our friend that was the darkest would always get it the hardest. And I witnessed it firsthand. We would all be out and people were like, oh, is that your mom or your auntie? She's just the same age as us. But just because she had a darker skin tone, they automatically assume, oh, she's some motherly figure. And it's like, no, this girl is just our age. She's beautiful as we are, but you guys can't see that because we've kind of been programmed, unfortunately, especially those who have been, born and raised here, we've been programmed to kind of favor more to the fairer skin and figure that to be more appeasing to the eye.
Ugh.
I am grateful though now these days that, you know, there has been a huge melanated movement where we're
Yes.
really loving the brown skin. We're really loving the extra melanated. I just want to make sure folks ain't out here fetishizing and you know, doing the
Right.
things, you know, making it inappropriate. You feel me?
Exactly. Yep. Yep. With
But
men and women. And
exactly, because
black
I
men
might be
and black
guilty of doing it to the black man. I might be guilty. I'm
I can't. Oh my God.
guilty. I'm a little out of control, Pebbles, just a tad bit.
That's all right. That's all right. Oh my gosh.
Now, listen, now I'm going to completely switch gears because I feel like I've
Uh-huh.
been priming you for this question for a little bit, you know.
Okay.
Tell me if you could think of one, or if there's more than one, feel free to share. But a personal pivotal moment in your life that shaped you to be the Susan, the Pebbles, who you are today.
Oh,
Yeah, I love that question. It always gets that
wow.
reaction. I love that question.
I know it's because I'm one of the olds. It's like there's so many
There's so many
different
steps.
things,
I get
yeah,
you.
that have led to different points. Oh, I mean, there have been career decisions. There have
Mhm.
been relationship decisions. There have
Ooh,
been,
ooh, ding, ding,
and
ding,
we can
ding,
get to
ding.
all of them.
I'm like, we got into your career last time. Ding, ding, ding. I want to hear that relationship one right there. I want to hear that
Oh
one.
man. Well, okay. So, um, mm, I'm
Mm.
trying to decide which one to tell you about. So,
Right, because we can
a
have
lot of
stories for
people,
days for that, right?
yeah, because a lot of people don't realize that there was a point that I was married.
Okay.
This was back when I was at WILD, and then when I went to JAM, and I was still married.
Okay.
And it just was not the right thing for me. And I would
Gotcha.
never badmouth him if, we've had conversations. I mean, we're
Mhm.
not in touch, but
Yeah.
and it made me realize that I don't know if I'm a marriage person. It
Woo,
just,
Pebbles.
you know,
Woo.
to the
I'm
point
so
where I
glad we talked
am
about this.
now. I mean, I love being single. I like
Mm,
my life. I like um, the kids that I have in my life.
yeah.
Right now, I'm happy being
Yeah.
single.
Okay.
And yeah, the marriage thing, I mean, I did it because a lot of reasons. He was a good guy, but
Mm-hmm.
I think I did it because I just thought this is what I'm supposed to do. I was in my late 20s, and when people are like,
Yep.
"Oh, when you gonna?" And I'm like,
When you gonna get
and
married, when you gonna have kids, when you gonna do all
right.
these things. Yeah.
Although the good thing was I never got any of that ever from my parents. They would
Oh,
never, yeah. So
can
that
somebody
was
send
good.
my mom a memo, please? I'm still getting it to this
Listen,
day.
they need to stop.
Well, I'm getting it on the
Really.
grandkid moment, but not the marriage. I've been there, done that. Got the receipt. I don't, and the divorce
Mm,
receipt. And I don't want
yeah.
that either. And I'm so glad you spoke on that because I've been in this phase now where I'm questioning myself. Like, do I really want to jump back into something like that again? You know what I mean?
Mm,
Although there's nights that you're like, oh, I wish I had a bay
yes.
available. You know, I wish
Yes.
I could have somebody cuddle. But there are also days where I'm like, yo, I'm so glad that I could just sit here and be so ugly and not have to worry about anybody looking at me. I could just do whatever the hell I want to do and not answer to anybody. So it's like
Yeah.
I tussle because I did an 11-year bid, quote unquote. So I was like,
That's a long time.
yeah, that's a good chunk of life. So,
Hmm.
even though those nights, there's a couple of nights I get like, oh, but I'm like, there's a whole lot of days where I'm like, I'm free. Jeez, I'm free. And I like
Right.
that freedom. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
And
also was in another relationship. Lord, how long have we been broken up? We've been broken up now since 2012, which
okay.
was just a horrible year. But we had dated for like 6 years, and I loved this man. He
Hmm.
was, and ugh, he was a lot younger than I
Okay.
am.
Pebbles,
And
we are truly soul sisters. You understand me? Go ahead.
really.
We truly are.
And it really wasn't a problem during the relationship because you know, he's still like going out. I was like, listen, I'm fine. I'm gonna sit here with my book. I'm good. And his friends would always be like, what? Like, she doesn't care that you're out? And I'm like, no, I trust him. And if he's gonna do something, he's gonna do something, and then we deal with it then.
Exactly.
I don't have time for any of that. But anyway, so the age did end up becoming an issue. And I don't like to tell other people's story because what happened really was between us. But I will say that the age thing at this point made a difference, and we broke up, and it was out of the blue, and it was hard. It was so hard. I did not know if I was going to recover, and I was spinning into serious depression. I'm a Taurus.
So that's major for a Taurus to get there to that point. So I understand it. Okay.
It was hard. It was really, really hard. But I will say, it took me a long time to really get over it, and a lot of therapy.
Listen, shout out to therapy, man.
Really?
Yo, you better believe I am a testament of what therapy can do. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
So I
will say, I still love that man. He is he will always be family to me. We talk all the time.
Yeah.
He was with me during a really dark time in my life when and this is another defining moment, so we can roll into this. So in 2009, my sister died. She had a brain tumor, and
I hear that.
Thank you. And in the months leading up to that, it was like 9 months from when she was diagnosed and then when she passed. It was the hardest time. I mean, my parents live in Wareham, so she was living down there, and I would drive after work every single day to go see her. And it was back and forth. And this poor man is dealing with me. I would go from work to there, and I would go to his house and just stay with him because I just needed him.
Yeah.
And, to have to deal with somebody going through that, the fact that he dealt with it, I will never, ever forget that. Ever.
That's love. That's love.
It really, really was. Because I was not an easy person to deal with at that time.
Come on, can we talk about being, first of all, when you're normally just a naturally independent woman, normally can do it for yourself. You're in a very stressful moment, and you're, having to express all these emotions to somebody else. And it's a lot. So I can only imagine. I can only imagine being your soul sister, the level of crazy that man had to deal with in the midst of it.
I know.
I can only imagine.
God love this man. I wish great things for him.
No, I get it. I get it. Yeah. And I mean, just to relate again, I again mentioned that the divorce, what is that thing, hearing happened just yesterday, and it was
how was that?
It was an array of emotion, quite frankly. Like, I couldn't even hold back tears during the actual virtual hearing because although I'm emotionally, closed out from that relationship, there's no desire to go back. I think there's still a brief moment of mourning that happens just from that final closure. I'm sure you can relate, right?
Yeah.
It's just like that brief moment of, wow, this whole chapter of my life, 11 years, is completely closed. And now I've got to start this new chapter and figure this part out. And I mean, we had been separated for 2 years. So there was a buffer of time for me to kind of get my swing back and figure it all out. But there was still that kind of like gut punch when they're like, is there any chance of reconciliation? And you're like, no. I'm like, oh God. Oh, and it's not that I even wanted it, but just still a gut punch. Like, my gosh. But it was funny.
No, in mine, let me tell you, when they asked that question at my hearing, there was a second that he paused, and I was like,
wait a minute.
If we have to wait another 6 months, but then he said it, I was just like, okay.
Like, you better say yes or whatever. No, whatever the right answer is, you better say it. You better say it. And
so
it was funny.
You feel like you're going through another grieving process, or do you feel that everything that led up to it, you kind of already processed a lot of it?
I feel like I've already processed a lot of it. That was just kind of
Yeah.
like that final little tweaking of, it's really, really done. Like there's
Right.
no attachment at this point. We have nothing that we really need to discuss anymore if we if we don't have to.
Right.
But on a good note, I was able, I dealt with the emotion of the shock. And there's my own personal stuff. And like you, I'm the same type of person. I don't like to tell somebody else's story. So I don't like to get into the personal details of it
Yep.
all out of respect for the 11 years and us practically growing up together. I
Mhm.
just sent her kind of like a thank you message, so to speak. Like, thank you for the 11 years.
Mm.
Although it didn't work out, we grew up together. And for that alone, I'm going to always love you. So,
Yeah.
here's to everything you got. I pray that you get everything, the desires of your heart. And it was just kind of like that final closure.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure that nothing was left in bad energy. Because when it's all said and done, no matter how it ended, I still got to respect the 11 years that it was. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll have to
Yeah.
get that out. But I'm partying like crazy this weekend, though, Pebbles. I'm partying.
I bet you are.
Now, you have mentioned that you love being single right now, right? So you do have a whole network that you're creating right now of like helping people who are single, like now myself, I'm out here. And I don't want to focus my life because it gets depressing when you focus your whole entire energy on the dating scene and can I find a man? Can I get a boyfriend or girlfriend for me? That's my bag. So it's just like if I get stuck in that energy, I find myself not in a good headspace. So I appreciate, first of all, this network that you're creating, but I want you to tell the audience more about it than me. So if you could tell them about this
Yeah.
network.
So I will say I'm still figuring it out. Like a lot of things that started during the pandemic.
Of course.
So I wanted to start something that would help women who are struggling with being single, because I realize that I'm someone who loves being single, and I realize that everyone doesn't, and that's fine. And it's not that I want you to give up ever being in a relationship, because no, if you want to be in a relationship, you should be in a relationship and find the person who you want to be with. But the one thing that I've seen happen time and time again with a lot of people is that they kind of put their life on hold while they're well, it's like,
waiting for a partner to live with,
waiting for this one, right? So what happens in the in between? You have to live, you have to work on yourself, you have to have fun, be with your friends. Like, you still should be living a great life in that in between.
Okay, so I'm not struggling too bad with this single life. All right, because I definitely subscribe to that. I subscribe to that for sure. I'm not gonna let me being single stop me from living. So
yes.
Okay, and what's the name of the network again? I remember
it's Heart and Solo Media.
There we go.
Yeah, and it started where really it just started with Instagram and a website. And I found over, because it's coming up on a year since I started it, but I'm still trying to figure out what people want. Like, I wanted it to be like a resource and you have all this information. But what I'm finding that people really are resonating with and reacting to are just stories that I tell about things that I've been through.
Okay.
And, so it might be turning more into that. I don't know. I'll figure it out.
I feel like
maybe we can have a conversation and work on some things.
I'm about to pass out, Pebbles. Don't make me pass out.
No, because I love what you're doing, and I feel like it's I could use some advice. I do.
Okay. This in the end the episode now, because what?
Absolutely.
What? But no, I feel like we're definitely in the same lane. And I was just gonna say, I always tell anybody, if you're a lot of times our purpose is to just simply get on the mic and tell our story, because there's so many people that resonate with it. And I think over time the network will grow, because you got a friend in me here, because I need some help. I 100% resonate with your story, and I do the same thing on my podcast. People are still kind of shy about coming on to interact and share theirs. Thank you for not being too shy with me. Thank you.
Never.
Thank you. So a lot of times I'm just like, all right, I'll get on the mic by myself and I'll just talk about things that I'm going through, and hopefully it'll
Yes.
resonate with somebody and help somebody. And those are the ones I usually get the most feedback on. So I feel like when that works, we're clearly working in our purpose, Pebbles. You got to
Right.
keep telling your stories, because definitely the people want to hear it. I got cussed out a couple times. Jesus. I was like, all right, I got to get a part 2. All right.
Yes. Yes.
Now tell me, Pebbles, if there was anything you could say to somebody like myself, who is single, brand newly, officially single, and kind of figuring it all out. Somebody that's been a vet in this game and is now to the space that is like, I'm happy here. What steps did you take to get there? Because I know it didn't start off that way.
No, it really doesn't.
No.
But I think it all starts in your head, like
Gotcha.
everything else. Like you have to make the decision to say, I'm not giving up, but I need to live. I have to live.
Okay.
And to allow yourself to be happy without someone, because society will tell you that
you're worthless, practically worthless if you don't have somebody.
Exactly. Like you need someone else to validate who you are. And that's so not true.
Because what are guys first go to? That's why you ain't got no man. Like, oh.
Oh, like, okay, so because I'm independent, because I speak for myself, because I do this by myself, like, what?
And like the man is the prize, or is the man the ball and chain? Don't get me started. Listen, don't get me started, Pebbles. I'll start preaching today. And don't get me wrong, I deal with men, but I was married to a woman for, that was my stretch, 11 years. And that's a whole different ball game, Pebbles. That's a, whoa. I appreciate the male species. I appreciate the woman species, but that's a whole different ball game. A whole different ball game.
I would like to hear a little more about that. That you would be comfortable sharing.
Oh yeah, of course. With women, it's just, think of it this way, right? With men, even though they get on your nerves and there's, they're just men. They're simple when it's all said and done. You kind of can, if they have something that's on their mind, they're going to say it, and it just kind of is what it is. You know what I mean? Oh, but we women though, right? It's a totally
complicated.
There's 8,000 different levels behind a okay, and there's a million levels behind a yes or a no. So you have to constantly be in the phase of figuring out, is this safe? Is this not safe? What's going on? But I also, and I've spoke about it in the podcast before, I don't generalize that as all women. You know what I mean? I also recognize that me and this person we grew up together. So at 25, it was cute. But by the time 30, 32 started hitting, it wasn't cute no more. It wasn't, it was like oil and vinegar. But with guys, like I said, because I grew up with brothers, it's easier for me. Like I understand them a little bit easier. They're just gonna say what they mean, whether you like it or not.
You get their language.
Yeah, I get their language. So, and that's not to say one is better than the other, but they're just two totally different ball games. Totally.
Oh man.
Now, one other thing I did want to mention, aside from your network, you're also doing the Voices podcast, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So that was something that I created. We actually just celebrated our 4th anniversary.
Congratulations.
And thank you. So I do it with,
my buddy, my bro.
Yes. And it started when on the morning show we had someone come on, Christopher Sean. I don't know if you know him, but he does he makes bow ties, and he worked out of oh Lord, I can't even remember what church it was.
That church. It's all right. It's all right.
Yes.
That church.
So he worked out of a church, and I just was so curious about his story, because during morning radio it's like you got 5 minutes to talk, or if that, and and then you got to move on. And so I remember after that interview, I was like, I want to be a part of a conversation that's bigger than that. I want to know about everything that he's done and blah, blah, blah. So
Mm-hmm.
I ended up going to my boss and I'm like, listen, we have these two, time slots for public affairs. I'm like, let me have a half an hour. I want to interview people in the community, people who, don't always get recognized for what they're doing, people who have stories to tell, people who are just living and doing great things.
Yes.
And there's a million of them.
Come on, especially here in Boston alone, my good, or Massachusetts.
Yes.
Let's just put the whole umbrella. New England, all of the above. There's so much greatness going on.
And just tapping into the people that I knew and that Leroy knew. I mean, we've put together like 4 years of great interviews and great shows. So I really, really love doing that show a lot.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. And again, it always sounds like it's a mission for you. It's a not even a job for you. It's not a thing about numbers or anything. It's all about what's in your heart. Mission work is what I'm looking for. That's the word I was looking for. Now I have to get a little funny and light real quick.
Yep.
And tell me one embarrassing story that you could think of that nobody might know about you. Ooh, yeah. I'm telling you, I'm hitting you with the questions today, Pebble.
Embarrassing is hard for me because I think out of every emotion in the world, being embarrassed is I hate being embarrassed.
Oh.
I really do.
So you're the type to get upset if you get embarrassed. Are you that type? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I am. Well, especially if someone purposely tries to embarrass you.
Ooh.
And I know I should be somebody who just let it
no, I
roll
get it,
off
Taurus. Come on, the bull coming on out.
Yeah. Oh man, but Lord. The only thing that I swear, I don't know why this popped into my
because that was the universe. Give it to me, Pebbles. Give it to me.
The only thing I can think about was when I was like 12 years old and I was first starting to grow some chest. And I was with all of my cousins and we were swimming. And I was, we were, playing, I was on one of my cousin's shoulders and playing chicken or whatever it's called. And all of a sudden, everybody's pointing at me and I looked down and my bathing suit had fallen down.
Ooh, I think we might have all had that moment in life though, Pebbles. I feel like as kids, if you was in the water, I feel like we all had that moment.
But when you're young and you're just starting to get
that
them,
is mortifying.
Like,
yeah, that's mortifying.
You at 12, you are mortified.
Yes.
Yeah, I still think about it and
look at you, your chest is palpitating.
Yes. That's the only, and believe me, I know I've been drunk and embarrassed myself in front of people, but
that's
because
the lesson.
I was
you
drunk,
can't recall those things.
Exactly. I don't
never
remember.
Happened. If you don't remember, it didn't happen, Pebbles.
Exactly.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Oh my gosh, I feel like the time is just like, we done covered so many subjects and it's only been a half an hour. Like that is crazy. But I always like to say, I don't like to keep people for too long. I like to get straight in and out. So I will leave for you. Is there any final words you would like to have for my Lez Get Naked family?
Oh man. Appreciate this woman in front of you.
Oh, I'm about to pass out.
Because no. Okay. No, I'm serious. I'm really honored to talk to you because and like you said about the feeling the connection, because I really do feel a connection.
Yeah, I don't joke about those things. I don't joke about that.
Really. And I've had so many people ask me about wanting to do interviews and in-depth things, and I'm just like, I don't know, because I just I feel like you can't trust everyone with your story. Thank you. And I just see what you're doing out here, and as one of the aunties of the community, I am just really proud. I'm just so proud of you, and I'm proud to see what you have, and you just are a gift.
Oh my God.
I just hope your listeners don't take you for granted and just really appreciate everything that you're doing.
Pebbles, I'm supposed to make the people cry on the show. You're not supposed to make me cry. I do that enough by myself. You can't be doing this to me right now. You
Oh
already know.
man.
I think every time I encounter you, I just lose my mind and start blubbering
Mm.
all types of things to you because I do like my heart genuinely appreciates you. I appreciate you like appreciating me. It still blows my mind that comes out of your mouth. It's so crazy to me.
Mm.
But yo, your story, your legacy, and the fact that you know trust me to even share these things, that means the world to me, Pebbles. Like this is career topping for me. That's it. Like
Oh, stop.
that's it. I'm done. I'm all done. Y'all,
Oh, you got
y'all
a
got
lot of
this.
work to do. You got a lot of work left to do.
Oh,
You
but
do.
I could talk about you and dote on you forever. I am gonna have a slight conversation with you once I start recording because I have a little
Yes.
follow-up questions, but you know we're gonna keep things personal.
Absolutely.
But for those who are living under a rock and don't know where to find you, Pebbles, tell them where they can find you.
Let's see. Pebbles Boston on all
Everywhere.
social media. Yeah. Some of them I'm more active on. I've been really lacking on the social media because
Good.
it's draining. It
I
really
think I might
is.
have a breakdown at least once a week due to social media. So I have to just
Yeah.
sometimes put it to the side, like, I'm gonna
Hmm.
tap out. It's a lot. But
Yeah.
and then also you can Google Pebbles, honestly, because you're gonna find her. She's gonna
Lord,
pop up.
sometimes I'm like, what? I don't
What did I
Google
do?
yourself.
Wait a minute.
Exactly. Every time I see I didn't even know I had a Wikipedia page until somebody told me and started telling me all this stuff, and I'm like, how did they know that? Like, yeah,
Wow.
I have no
That's
idea.
you
That's
famous,
weird to
famous
me.
Pebbles. You
That's
famous,
weird.
famous.
That is so
That
weird to me.
I would definitely be weirded out if I seen a biography about me out here that I never
Right.
gave. Like, how did you
But like links to things, I'm like,
wait?
I haven't looked at it in a couple years, so I don't even know.
Wow. I
But
don't know why I don't know how I thought Wikipedia was created. I didn't know it was just randomly people are researching you like that.
and people could add stuff and
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Child, you famous. I'm
Oh,
trying to be
thanks.
like you, Pebbles.
Oh
And family,
man.
listen, y'all know if you are looking for the podcast, you can you can listen to the podcast on all available podcast platforms. Also, keep forgetting I'm on YouTube. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, click the little bell button so that you get the notifications when I drop a new episode. And also, if you want to follow us on social media, Lez Get Naked, LezGetNaked with an underscore on Instagram and Twitter, and without one on Facebook. If you have some questions, you want to join in on the show, be a guest. My bra straps have been jumping out all
Listen.
show. Come on,
Right, me
soul
too.
sister. Come on. But you can send
Man.
me an email, Lez Get Naked, the number 1 at gmail.com. Follow me everywhere at MzMo Phila, MzMoPhila. I can't do no more announcements because this has just been so much for me today. It's just been so much. Thank you
This has
again,
been
Pebbles.
fun. This has
I
been
appreciate
fun.
you, and I can't say it enough. I'm going to continue to say it every time I lay eyes on you. I can't wait till we can actually see each other in person.
Yes.
I'm waiting for that day, and it's just going to be up from there, completely up.
Yep. I'm ready.
I cannot wait. As always, family, I ask that you listen with an open heart, open mind, and open ears. And as always, keep the conversations going. I love y'all, family. Peace out. Let me see if I can press the stop record thing. This is where I always struggle.
Let's get naked. Like the juice do, like the juice do. Step on the go, baby, me and you.